Got a pretty good group so far. Everybody, welcome.
Yeah, definitely.
Welcome to our IWCA virtual social that we're having today. It's our first one of the year. I'm going to introduce our two hosts today. We've got Robert Cohn. He's a director of business development at Kefco Building Services in Gaithersburg, Maryland. We also have Alex Camargo. He's the CEO and owner of Insight Service Solutions in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And so I know they have a presentation ready, so I'm just going to give it to them and let them begin.
Awesome. Thanks. And everyone that's on the call, if you want to take yourself off of, show your video, that'd be great, just to kind of create a little interactive environment. Please do so.
Hi, guys.
And then, Bill, did you just share with me?
You should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Awesome. I'll pull up this. Okay, can you guys, everyone see my screen here?
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. Cool. So yeah, Phil, thanks for the introduction. Everyone that's on the call, great to see everyone. My name is Robert Cohn, as Phil said. I'm a second generation company out of Washington, D.C. Metro. My father started our business over 35 years ago. And I'm a second year board member to the IWCA. So we're excited about just kind of trying something new, talking, maybe making it a little more interactive with you guys, and learning about how we can share some ideas that can potentially help you all. So a couple of housekeeping things, just if you can keep your cameras on, that way we can see you. If you have questions, you can kind of raise your hand, making this a little more interactive, and also using the chat window if you have questions throughout. You can use the raise hand button, and just make sure we kind of be respectful of the space. So as we get into this, I see a few of you on the call now. Do you want to introduce yourself and maybe your affiliation to the IWCA before we get started? I see Brandon and John. John, do you want to go first?
Yeah, my name is John. I just signed up with IWCA, I think like 3 weeks ago.
Awesome.
I've been in the service-based business space for about 5 years now. I used to run a company in Madison, Wisconsin that I closed down, and I moved down here to Chicago because my wife took a job. So I made some bad decisions with my old business that I wanted to kind of change. I wanted to be a window cleaning business first instead of a power washing company first. So I just created Chicago Window Cleaning Corporation. We incorporated last month, and I'm just waiting to hear back, hopefully from Richard Bright, about getting some RDS training so we can start getting some bids and start doing some high rises out here. So that's
fantastic. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
And Brandon, how about you?
Yes, hi, I'm Brandon. I'm located in Seattle, Washington. I've been around window cleaning, pressure washing, and related business for a few years. Started on my own. Mostly been doing window cleaning. I started off as a carpet cleaning company, but then got more requests for window cleaning, so focus kind of shifted from carpet cleaning and focus more on window cleaning, exterior cleaning. I'm not actually a member of IWCRA, but I've been interested in, I don't know much about it. I think Gabe Spotless Window Cleaning, I always see his posts. I think he's a member of it. So I didn't know much about it. Kind of interested in more what it's about.
Yeah, no, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of, this is stuff that we're trying to do to engage our base. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I see Tim, and I saw one other gentleman, David. If you guys want to introduce yourself real quick, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Tim, the Business Development Manager for Invisible Windows. We are a window cleaning company based out of Calgary, Alberta.
Awesome. Dave,
Hello.
go ahead.
Hi, my name is David Mungai. I recently bought into the window cleaning business. Currently running Watts Window Cleaning out of Baltimore, Maryland.
I like Baltimore.
Nice.
I just flew back from there like 2 days ago. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's a great city.
Well, I think is there anyone else that didn't get to introduce himself? Otherwise, I'm going to keep it moving. Rudy, awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am Rudy. I'm from Calgary, Alberta. I work with Tim. Our company's Invisible Windows, and we do strictly commercial. So storefront, mid-rise, high-rise.
Perfect. All right. So the agenda, real quick, we're just going to kick us off. I think Alex and I were going to run through a little bit of the software that we're using for our businesses to try and make this relatable. Maybe there's some common ground. And then Alex is going to go into things like how do you go about choosing software? What are the options for me? And then if we have enough people, we can do breakout rooms. And if we have a small enough group, then we can kind of maybe just all talk, exclusively here. So with that being said, I'll kind of jump into some of the software that I use for our company, and just a little bit of background on my company. We're about a 40-person operation down in the DC Metro. We do high-rise services, pressure washing, parking garage cleaning, and then a low-rise and home division. So I would say 90% of our revenue comes from commercial services. So we do skew more commercial. The main software that we're using, and kind of funny enough, like we're going through a transition right now from an older CRM system that we had some trouble with to a newer one. So right now we're currently in the process of moving over to a platform called Workies, and it's predominantly designed where our goal is to integrate it with our whole team, and kind of change out from where we were with a company called Service Autopilot, which was we had brought it on a few years ago and found some challenges due to it being like a closed API system. That's something we'll dig into a little bit later, and it not being as helpful on the scheduling side for my operations team. So not positive or negative on either of them so far. The other company cam has been an awesome tool for me that I use to integrate photos into my estimates for our customers, before and after photos, and then relaying information to operations. We have a vehicle tracking software called ClearPath GPS. QuickBooks, obviously, like a lot of people have. And then I use LinkedIn Sales Navigator as part of a sales process for finding and doing business development. And then we also use Blue Corona, which is locally to me, it's a third-party marketing SEO company, and they also do provide like call recording services. And then last, I've been playing around with ChatGPT to try and make my time more efficient and try and break out some of the tasks that I don't like doing a little bit more. So that's some of what we're using. And again, all of my contact information is at the end of the presentation. So if people want to reach out to me afterwards and have a conversation, I'm more than open to it. Alex, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, Robert, if you want to just switch to the next slide, that's awesome. Yeah, perfect. So, so my name is actually spelled with a CA, but that's okay. Here, I'll fix it now. There. Perfect. So we're using Smart Service CRM. We've been using that since 2010. Jobber we're using for our secondary CRM for residential. So we just started a residential department last year. We are the majority of our work is going to be commercial, and we decided that Jobber would be a better fit for us because of how well it does for that customer facing side. We use Responsibid for our estimating, but that is for residential only. We use QuickBooks Online. We were using QuickBooks Desktop for years, and we finally switched over to online. And that was partly because our CRM links has a very strong link with QuickBooks. It actually sends invoices out from QuickBooks, and they didn't have a tie-in with QuickBooks Online until about a year and a half ago. So QuickBooks Time we use for timesheets. Dext we use for receipt management, which ties right into QuickBooks. We use Trainwell for our training software. Blue Connect for our phone system call recording. We have 2 workers in the Philippines, and that helps us a lot with that. Google Business Suite, we use that for general business, as you know, spreadsheet and all of that. We also use the Google Chat and Google Meet. I don't like to pay extra if I don't have to. And then we use Trello for personal workflow management, the free version right now. So each individual person will use that kind of to manage their own day-to-day tasks. And then Robert, if you want to switch to the next one.
Yep.
So what I've learned so far, I think that because I've been messing around with technology since 2010 and trying to make things efficient, there's a bunch of things that I think that might be helpful. Many of you have probably already experienced this, but I think it's just good to jump in. So next slide there, Robert. So I think we have to be real. I've had to learn that the software out there is not custom made for our business. It just flat out is not. There's going to be things that just don't work well for you, and you're going to have workarounds. Software is limited. It will not solve all your problems. It is an absolute game changer. Yes, it is a necessity, but it often comes with its own set of problems, something that we have to be real about. We also have to keep in mind that when a software is built, it's built with who they think is their ideal customer, right? So it's something that I learned later on, that it's good to ask who is their target market. Like, are they going after HVAC? Are they going after window cleaners? Are they going after janitorial, landscape? Sometimes it's in the name, like LMN, right? Landscape Management Network, I think is what it's called. Like LMN is clearly for that, and they're really good at it. But it's good to consider who is their target market. So yeah, next one here. Some things to consider. So as we said, software is not custom made for you, so you will have to adapt and overcome challenges. There are workarounds with every piece of software. Right now, for example, my software I think does really good for the storefront side, where it's able to batch invoice and do things really quickly, but it's terrible at job costing. Anything that's like a large job that's going over weeks or a month, it doesn't track that well. And the way that it dispatches work is by crew and not by individual, and so it causes challenges there for tracking the amount of money produced per technician. So there's always these workarounds, and we've had to do a bunch with spreadsheets in order to make that work. And
I think one thing too, I was going to piggyback off that, is when we talk about some softwares aren't made, like Alex has said, hey, some of the limitations of a Jobber, or that I found in our old system, was if you're doing commercial work and you couldn't tie it to the parent company, they call it like a parent-child relationship on the account, that can make it difficult to do and bill out some commercial clients. So you have to be really cognizant of what you're looking for in your software.
Yep, really good. And one last thing just to mention about the target market. If you are the target market, they're going to listen to your complaints and your critiques, or the things that you want to be added to that software more. It's going to be more likely because they want to make you happy, right? Like if you are that target, they're going to want to make you happy. So that's just something to consider there. So cost is such a, man, it is such a challenge. A big learning there is that there is going to be value that you're adding to your business by bringing this on, but you have to be real, because some of these software options, some of them are like going to be anywhere from 3,000 a month to 10,000 a month to plus that, and you got to be real about whether or not you can afford that. So it's something that you got to consider. What's your biggest bottleneck right now, and what is the biggest return on your investment? So we have limited time and money, so making the right choice is really, really important. So choosing, how much can you afford? What is your average job size? Are you serving commercial customers, residential, or both? I think this is really relevant for us in the window cleaning industry. So let me see here. So sometimes people will say, hey, like, this is the best software. You'll get someone who's like really passionate. They just got something and it just blew their mind. You got to take that with a grain of salt, because they may have been using paper, right? They've been using spreadsheets. They might have been using iCal. And for them, they might just be like, wow, this is the best thing ever. And they might not know their cash flow. They might not know their budget. So they might be telling you this is the best option ever. And then when you go to do a call with them, a discovery call, it's going to be $3,000-$4,000 a month, and you're not, you just can't go for it. So your average job size, I think, is a huge factor when you're choosing. If you are doing $20 route jobs, it's going to be a different type of software that you're going after than if you're doing a $10,000 or $50,000. Like if your smallest job is going to be a $500 job or a $1,000 job, the type of software that you're going to go after is totally different. One of the challenges for our business is that we do a big chunk of storefronts. We do a big chunk of high rise. We do a big chunk of like mid rise, low rise, and we do some really large projects. So we have to find a CRM that can do all of them, and that's actually really hard to find. And we'll talk about that with some of the options a little later on. Next one here. So what is the problem that you're trying to solve? This is another thing that I found really helpful. Write down all the problems that you want to solve, then circle the most important ones, get a demo and have that demo recorded, and try to see if they're okay with you recording the demo yourself, because they often will have that on a key or like a, it'll be time bound. So then you can't look back at it. And for me, I don't know about you guys, but I like to take a lot of time to consider and to look back. So I think that's really helpful. Ask other people with the same customer type, so residential, commercial, HOA, whatever it is, the same average job size and revenue size. Like, what are they using? That is going to be by far, I think, the most beneficial when you're trying to make a choice for software.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think I've seen it backfire on me too, when I think from past IWCA conventions, we've come together and we said, oh yeah, like we said, this is a great software. And then we all get into, we're like, oh my God, why do we choose this one again? And I think sometimes you have to really ask the questions within your business to make sure that, you're not just following the flock. You have to really mold it to what your business needs. And like Alex said, we're kind of all over the place. I mean, we've been around for so long that we have some accounts that are, a retail storefront that is $300 and they do it monthly. And then we do the Pentagon, which is, one of the largest buildings in the US. So it's kind of, it's all over the place. So we're still trying to figure it out too.
Totally.
And yeah, Alex, you can talk about CRM systems.
Yeah, so customer relationship management. So what are the options out there? So this is one of the main pieces of software that we're going to be using in our businesses. So I think everyone's probably heard of Jobber. There's House Call Pro. Customer Factor, that's an oldie, but maybe a goodie, depending if you're starting off and depending on how big you are. Market, Service Monster, Smart Service, WorkWave. Is there anyone here that uses Smart Service, by the way? Because I rarely ever find someone that's even ever heard of it. No. WorkWave, that's an interesting one. I want to talk about that one at some point. LMN, Just Get It Done. I know some rope access guys, high rise guys that like that one. Workies, and then Service Fusion or some. So every year I spend about a week doing demos with tech companies, because I always know that people are improving what they've had and that what they currently, like the current software that's out there, they're improving it every single year, and there's also new ones coming to the market all the time. So for me, I want to be cutting edge, so I like to take that time every year. And man, sometimes they change so fast that this list could be partially irrelevant at this point. But this is current as of last year. So next slide. Okay, so this is something that's maybe not as known, but an ERP, so an enterprise resource planning solution. This is different than a CRM, because a CRM is going to be really focused only on that customer, usually. They'll integrate with invoicing, they'll integrate with these other pieces of software, but they don't have it all. So yeah, financial capabilities built in, often human resource will be built in, purchasing will be built in, a bunch of other functionality. So it's ideas that's like a one hub for everything in your business. Really good reporting as well. Usually comes out of an ERP. So Aspire, that's a Service Titan. If you've ever heard of Service Titan, this is their janitorial / window cleaning software offering that they purchased a couple of years ago. I'm very intrigued by Aspire. That's likely where I might be going next with our CRM ERP instead of CRM. And then Salesforce is one that can be an ERP. If you guys know anything about Salesforce, you have to customize it completely yourself, or hire someone to do it. It's very expensive. Yeah, so that's ERPs. So other software, other things to consider, Zapier. I don't know if anyone's using Zaps here, but that's a huge, connects open API software. People can make ERPs out of different software like Jobber by using Zapier. Monday.com, very customizable. Asana, kind of the same. People are starting to use this to get exactly what they want. Everything from like the human resource side, where you're asking someone for, let's say, a video in the hiring process to do like online interviews and things like that. People have these all built in with automations with Monday.com and Asana. I don't, but I have friends that do. Bamboo HR, human resource software, Gemba Docs for training. People sometimes use Gemba inside of Trainual or alongside Trainual. Company Cam, Robert already talked about that. Slack and ChatGPT, which we talked about. So Slack also has an open API, and you can do Zaps within Slack. I don't use Company Cam because of the cost. I don't use Slack because of the cost. So there's always that consideration. You got to make that call. It can be a hard one.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we talked about there's other options out there for really, I mean, any part of our business, and we're seeing more and more. In fact, today I was looking at I'm trying to do a demo for an HR software, like a hiring software that can allow us to automate more of the process for bringing on new technicians, because it's capping my HR person from having to make too many phone calls and reach out. So we're trying to figure out, hey, is there a process that we can maybe automate some of that hiring funnel? We talked about GPS tracking. I use it. It's helped us from a liability standpoint for actually on an insurance claim that was filed against us that we were able to throw out with relative ease because of GPS tracking. Marketing software platforms to use, chatbots for websites, and I think Alex, you talked about Airtable. I'm actually not too familiar with what that is.
So no code application builds. So like, let's say you have an estimating tool, like a spreadsheet, you can use those no code applications to build your own app, right? So you can go around a site, you can do window counts, you can do all kinds of things. Like that's just an example of an estimating calculator that you could build, but you can pretty much build anything that you want. There's just a lot of options out there. There's a lot. And one thing I wanted to mention really quick here about choosing, it's often just been out of necessity. So like one of the pieces of tech that we use is called Career Plug, and that's a a piece of hiring software. And the reason that we ended up going with that was because we kept on having applicants that we had already rejected, or people that we've actually let go over the years, and they reapplied. And we didn't know, like, until later on, someone would be like, wait a minute, that guy used to work for us. Like, why are you interviewing him? And also I was giving that responsibility over to other people in my team. So it was out of necessity. Like, we needed something to be able to manage all of those applications and have a record of it. So I think that is often what happens. It's a matter of necessity, and then you can fill those gaps in your business.
Great. Cool. So here's what we're gonna do. I think we have enough people on the call to do a breakout room. So Philip's going to break us out into two rooms, just kind of auto assign it. And I think this would just be a good opportunity for us to share. We can kind of go around within our group what you guys are using, maybe what struggles you're having, and then, really just have an open-ended conversation of how we might be able to help each other out. So, yeah, Alex and I will lead those two breakout rooms, and I'll have Philip break us out maybe for like, 10, 15 minutes here, and then we can come back together and end the session. So just give us a minute.
Everyone coming back. Oh, you're muted, Robert.
We're back.
We are back. Robert's
I
muted.
think it's going to take half a year, Alex.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a long time. We were just talking about switching over CRMs, and currently we're with Smart Service, and we are considering moving to Aspire for going into next year. And we are thinking it's going to be like a temporary position for 6 months to a year to actually move it over. So whenever you meet with these software companies, often they'll be like, oh, we have an amazing integration team, we can get you hooked up in 2 weeks. It's like, well, it depends on the size of company. If you're doing 4 million or if you're doing 15 million, it totally depends on how many files you have. That's
I might have a connection with you that might be able to switch it over at a more economical rate and in a shorter period of time. But we
okay.
can talk about that offline.
Yeah, sounds good. Robert, you're on mute. Maybe you know that.
I think it's start. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
All right, cool. No, I was wondering, who did you have an individual person that helped you transfer data over and port it over when you switched systems, Rudy?
I have not switched systems, but I do have a good friend who is in data integration, and he works for a large company, and he also contracts on the side as well.
Nice. Yeah, that's the hardest part that we're facing right now. Is like we're trying to switch into this new system, but no one really has enough time to make the proper documents, the work orders, and you're like trying to piece it all together, and you're like, not doing it as effectively as I would like.
Yeah, it's challenging.
And I was saying in our group, I said, hey, I'm going to pull up our slide here just with my contact information so that, kind of as people have questions or things that they want to, kind of reach out to us afterwards, more than happy to continue to share and, tell it what's been helpful for us and where we've had shortcomings too. But it sounds like a lot of people are doing different things, and it's kind of nice to be able to share that information. So,
is this the customer's information?
no, this is mine. This is my personal information.
Robert, I think we got the wrong screen here. We're looking
Yeah.
at FileMaker
Oh,
Pro,
shoot.
job file,
Oh
commercial.
yeah, that's the old one. Oops. Sorry about that. That is. See, this is again. That's my old system. My bad. Let's see what pops up now.
There you go.
Is it still showing that same screen?
No, we can.
You're good. You're good now.
Okay. Well, yeah, that customer was a prime example. It's a customer with it takes 4 guys a day to do the job versus another one. So. Yeah, I mean, if anyone else has any other questions, Alex, is there anything else you wanted to share?
I just was curious, like, if there's anyone that has questions, like, I feel like, we have a good opportunity here. If anyone wants to ask some questions, we can have a little bit more of a dialogue. If you guys, yeah, go ahead.
Related.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was in the midst of saying something and then my session crashed. Anyway, for those of you who do both residential and commercial, what solution or solutions have you found that work best for both?
Robert and I had this conversation. Robert and I had this conversation yesterday, and Robert, you can tell me what you think the conclusion was, but I strongly believe that I don't think there is one that is great for both. I think that when you grab something like Jobber, it's going to be good with a customer portal. It's going to be good with texting to customer, taking payment, It's going to have a very straightforward communication path with the customer, and all the commercial ones that I know are not gonna. They just don't seem to have that, not yet. So I don't know that there is one that's great for both.
We used Customer Factor for years for both residential and commercial. And although there were some minor issues, we were able to function, I'm going to say, quite efficiently on Customer Factor.
Right.
And it did have like the drip emails or texts for residential clients, like texting a client, we're on our way, invoicing, integration in QuickBooks. The commercial side, it's not the greatest for project planning, but it does the trick.
And there's gonna be people out there too that swear by Jobber, like that you can use Jobber for absolutely everything. And I just feel like if you're doing, it depends on what kind of commercial, right? If you're doing storefronts, I think Jobber struggles personally. I think it struggles big time. Well, maybe if you're doing $10,000 worth of storefronts or 100,000, but if you're doing $1 million of storefronts, I think it's really challenging to move groupings of work and have different frequencies and stuff like built in. Like I think it gets really complicated with a software like Jobber. But I don't have a ton of experience with Customer Factor. I had it for 1 month only, so I can't speak to it. How about you, Robert? What do you think about the best for both?
I mean, for us, I think for years, I mean, we're an older business, so we had operated the one I had up was what we had brought on in like the 90s of when, like, you know, there were starting CRMs, and it was this platform. Honestly, it was kind of nice at the time, or from what I had told, but it didn't integrate with anything, and it was like a predating system. So then we moved to this software called Service Autopilot, and it had some nice features, right? Like email integration with the customer, texting with them, tracking estimates through their pipeline tool. But it just didn't catch on with our schedulers because they didn't like how it's scheduled. So now we're in this new iteration of going to Workies, and it's a lot cleaner looking. It seems to be like easier to train and add new customers into the system. There's better pipeline management for my case. But we're seeing some of the shortcomings of things that they kind of promise that are there, but it's not like, it feels like it's not fully baked in some stances. So I think it's better, you know, everything's kind of like a better than where it was, but I still see some factors on the longer term projects that we do, or bigger projects, versus the day-to-day operations, which I think it can excel in, because my point of view is a lot of these systems are made for business to consumer type platforms, where if it's HVAC, if it's garage door companies, things like that you're, you know, kind of churning multiple customers or site visits in a day. So that's where I'm coming up short a little bit right now.
Like looking for that job costing feature, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, being able to take technicians and move them around and still be able to say, okay, they made me this much today. Like they did this portion of that job, right? Like there's something about that that I think that is really difficult. I think Aspire, I did a demo with Aspire. I believe Aspire can do that, but Aspire will only cost you, I don't know what, Robert, 50,000 a year.
Too much money. Yeah, I didn't want to pull the trigger because it was very expensive.
So, John, did you have something to say?
Yeah. I have more questions essentially on bidding. I've had, you know, experience doing that with my pressure washing company, but I really don't know too much about RDS. And I know this session really isn't in relation to that. And I don't know if you want me to ask the questions now, or if you'd be willing to do like a 15-minute call with me later on, and in the future or something like that. I'd love to rack your brain a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think that we could take that one off. We could take that one offline, absolutely. But if you want to yeah, either myself or Robert, we got our contact info. At least we did. I don't know if you
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Did you write it down?
Yeah, I screenshotted
I can
it.
pull it back up too.
Yeah, I screenshotted it. I really love a mentor essentially in the bidding process. I feel like I'm pretty strong in other areas of business, considering I ran one before and I did pretty well. But jumping into this new section of business that I feel is the best in my area, I'd like a little bit of mentorship or some more information.
Yeah.
And you guys seem to be the people that I could spend a few minutes with getting some information. Yeah.
And I think I'll do a quick plug for the IWCA. And I think this is why, I don't know if John, if you or other members are not a part of the IWCA, but I think that's a big reason of what we're trying to promote is like, hey, there's a group of people that you can network with and talk to and try and learn and grow about your business. So that will be my plug today. Both Alex and I are on the board. That's my plug. So if you're not a member of the IWCA, you should join. I don't know, Rudy, are you guys a member?
Really good question. We were last year. I don't know. I will have to check. I don't know if the cost for Canadian memberships changed. Alex, would you know? The same? Okay.
I think it was fairly cheap actually. I think it was so cheap it was almost free. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
If I could just say something really, really quick, I would just like to point out that our members do receive significant discounts on a lot of the software that has been brought up, like Jobber and QuickBooks and Squeegee. So that's just something to keep in mind as well.
Sweet.
Definitely.
Do you mind if I ask one last follow-up question to my previous one?
Go for it.
Sure. Who's this speaking?
This is David calling from Watts in Maryland. We kind of on a growth trajectory and we're looking to grow through acquisition. So for those of you who've had an acquisition, what are the best practices? Do you keep the system? Because it doesn't sound like there's one system that would work really great for both commercial and residential, especially for those businesses like ours that are very heavy on commercial. So what have you done in the past that you've found works well? Because integration costs quite a bit of money.
Yeah, I love this question. I love acquisition. This is my jam. We can talk, David, if you want to take my number down, I put it in the chat. Let's chat more about this. If you want to give me a shout. But like I would say, so it depends on the size of acquisition. I purchased a $400,000 or $500,000 revenue company to tie into ours a couple of years ago. We had to almost manual entry everything because it was just small and they didn't have good records, but the work was really good, so it was worth the manual entry. So that took a few months. Yeah, I think that's going to be a challenging one because software doesn't seem to like to work together very well. And even if you can get it in a CSV format and get that in a spreadsheet, it's still going to be tricky, right? Because, for example, Smart Service, there are so many, like, the way that they want you to do it is that they want to make you a new bid every single time there's a renewal. And so there are records for the same customer. There's like 40 records, like 200 records for that same customer. And if you don't deactivate them, it's going to all show up. It's going to show as repeats, right? So someone's got to comb through that if they're going to be putting that into a new. So it all depends what they were using. So, but I'm not sure if that answers your question. I'd like to talk more about it offline, possibly, David, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, yes, I will take you up on that, Alex. Thank you.
Anyone else? It's good. Yeah, Brandon.
Why are you thinking about switching from Aspire? Do you want to? Is there things you don't like about Jobber, or you kind of touched on some things, but I guess the things it does well.
You're talking about me.
Yeah.
So we're currently using a software called Smart Service for our commercial side. Smart Service, and then we're using Jobber for our residential. We like Jobber for our residential, but Smart Service doesn't do job costing well. I do all of my job costing on a spreadsheet. It's done daily. It's like double, triple entry. So the reason we would want to move to Aspire instead of Smart Service is because it would do everything in one. So that would be the main reason. And also it would act, we could get rid of Pipedrive. Pipedrive is our sales estimating software right now, and we could get rid of that one because it has it built in. And it's pretty good. It's not quite as the user interface is not quite as nice as Pipedrive, but it's still very good. So
and you use Responsibid also, right?
For the residential side, yeah, tied into Jobber.
Yes.
Yeah. How about you, Brandon? Do you use Responsibid?
Yeah, I use Responsibid and House Call Pro. I've fiddled a little bit with Jobber. I like it. It's just when I used it before, it was a little different. I know they made a lot of changes, like they've added online booking. The thing I love about Jobber, it seems like they made it, the user interface is very simple, clean, and it seems like they made it, a lot of window cleaners use it. But House Call Pro, I don't know a lot of window cleaners that use it. It seems like it's more geared towards carpet cleaners or HVAC guys type. I mean, it's okay, but it's like trying to do too many things, like be a jack of all trades instead of just like doing one thing right.
Yeah. I think things changed. I feel like when I was at the conference, the IWCA conference 4 or 5 years ago, I feel like half of the people that I talked to that did residential had House Call Pro and the other half had Jobber. And now when I go to the conference, I feel like almost no one has House Call Pro and almost everyone has Jobber. So I don't know if it was just their marketing or all the money that they got, all the capital investment that they got, but like it seems to have changed things a lot. So
it's not a bad software. It just, I think Jobber is a little bit, I like the way it's set up. It's more clean, to the point. House Call Pro, sometimes, the thing I love about Jobber, you can make a notes or instructions about a customer and it saves it. But with House Call Pro, I have to dig through all the notes. Sometimes it makes duplicates of the same customer. Like if they book online, it'll make it, instead of just remembering that that customer was already in my system, it makes another, like they're a whole nother customer. It has a lot of annoying things like that.
Yeah. It's a hard decision to make because if you go online and you look at reviews, you will find people that will they will die on that hill. They'll be like, House Call Pro is so much better. I used Jobber for 2 years and then right, it's so hard. Like your use case is different from person to person, company to company, geographic area, type of work. It can just be so different, right? So that's tough.
Well, yeah, so I think I was going to try and just wrap us up here briefly, but I wanted to just thank everyone for coming out today. I know some of you are already members and some are non-members, and this is really what we're trying to be a part of the IWCA is just a group and a networking opportunity for people. We got Canada, we got Maryland, we got DC, we got Chicago. Like that's kind of the idea of the association. So we will be doing more of these events probably every couple months. And Rudy, I just saw you tried to connect with me on LinkedIn, so appreciate it. And so we'll be doing more of these. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. But from all of us, we appreciate the time. So we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for your time.
All right. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Have a good afternoon.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye. Alex?
Hey, Rudy.
Hey. Yeah, we met in Vegas at the IWCA at whatever that hotel was.
What was it, Philip? You know.
The Golden Nugget.
Golden Nugget, that's right.
Were you at Galveston?
No, I wasn't in Galveston, no.
Okay. You missed out, right, Robert? Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you missed. I think Robert left though, didn't he? He's out of here. He's too busy. Yeah, Rudy, you should send me. You sent me a friend request. I'll or whatever. Like I'll look in. I'm not on LinkedIn very often, but I'll check that out. But that's good. That's awesome. Okay. Right. I hope you had a good one. We'll talk to you later.
Yes.
Bye.
Have a good one.